To the left, we have the Samsung Q8FN. To the right, we have the Sony Bravia 9. I'll just say this right now, I don't think anybody expected the Samsung Q8FN still in 2024 to have this much picture quality. But I'm here to remind everybody that the Samsung Q8FN was made to dominate OLEDs in a time where Samsung didn't have any OLEDs. Only LG and their competitors did. Well, this is the result. Years later, from 2018, here we are, still kicking, still showing you tremendous contrast, that of which not even Sony's best and brightest with the Bravia 9 can do. Look at this building right here. Look at all the detail coming off of the Samsung Q8FN from 2018 that the Bravia 9 just doesn't have. Now, if you're on YouTube, watch very carefully for other people's comparisons as well. You'll notice in their footage, no matter how nicely they talk about the Bravia 9, they can't hide how pale the Bravia 9 is. Now, this isn't a jab or a dig or an attack. This is just stating something that you probably don't know because most people don't want to highlight the vast amount of contrast difference the Bravia 9 just doesn't have. Now, the importance of this particular comparison to an old Samsung QLED is that this only has 40 zones of full array local dimming, not even mini LED. And you can see very clearly what kind of picture quality it was able to achieve through processing and everything. It's just providing more than what Sony has been able to push out. So again, I don't know who needs to hear this message. The Sony Bravia 9 is bright, and that brightness feels really good. But when you look at the depth that you're missing, for all the talks of the cognitive processor, you would think the Samsung was the one with the cognitive processor in it, and it's not. And I think that's the thing that really bugs me the most. Again, I can't stress how bright the Bravia 9 is, but look at the ground. Look at all the detail that you miss color-wise. There's a lot that happens when you just focus on color, and I don't think a lot of people are ready to confront or even be honest with the fact that, again, there are some major differences. So looking at the Samsung to the left, again, the Bravia 9 to the right, I can tell you that the Bravia 9 has substantially less contrast where it matters. Pausing right here at the mountain, you can kind of see a lot of that. It's just the Bravia 9 is very pale. And it also has this weird, like, flickering thing on camera. That's just, I don't know, the frequency they have their backlights at. It causes the camera to do that flickering thing, where that's not a problem on the, again, Q8FN. I honestly don't even know how they built the Bravia 9. What new trickery, weird nonsense that they've done, I don't know. I can tell you it's not working. I know when we were watching all the YouTubers like Caleb at Digital Trends tell us like, oh man, this year they got really close to OLED and the difference in backlight and all that. Well, okay, here's the Samsung Q8FN from 2018, a Samsung QLED, full array TV, no mini LED, right? Quantum dots wrapped in metal. Look at all the color throw that you have on the Samsung that you don't have on the Sony. I mean, it's beyond pure saturation for saturation's sake. It's accurate, honed, specific color targeting what the real world of these things would have looked like. When I go out in the real world, it's not faded and hazy like to the right now. Like if I pause right now, that's disgusting. I've never, ever seen a sunset that looks that shitty, like ever. But this is what Sony is selling as the realism of 2024, and people are buying into it, so much so that even Value Electronics has named this the king of mini LED. Well, hell, if this is their king of mini LED, I'd hate to see what their standards for the worst would be, because this is what they're calling the best. I mean, it gets to a point where you watch these examples before your eyes like this one. It's a vast difference in contrast, an extreme one. And then you're scratching your head. Like I being a content creator, right? I put these videos together for you guys, and I sit here and I'm on my end right now with my naked eyes and I'm looking at this. I'm like, what the actual fuck? Like I expected Sony to at least have the contrast advantage over the Samsung Q8FN. Like you're talking a full array TV with only 40 zones. But this is what I mean when I say the intention was different back then. The intention from Samsung back then was to dominate OLEDs. They were going up against what they did not have, and they needed an LED that could do that. Sony has an OLED. They don't give a damn about the blooming or the haze or the lack of three-dimensionality, because that's what the Bravia 8 is for, right? That's what the A95L is for. Just buy one of our OLEDs if that's what you want. But then comes the problem. You're making it seem like, Sony, that this type of technology doesn't have this level of clarity or depth, and you're just full of it. Because here you're watching an old TV from years ago pull through in the contrast department, in the color department. Both are quantum dot TVs, both are QLEDs, right? I mean, and just look at this bullshit. What is Sony even token right now? Like, they are on some seriously strong shit to think that they can gaslight the entire population of people with eyes and ears to see and hear. That there's just no way that LED technology can be really close to OLED. And this is going to be ultimately their biggest failure, I think, in recent memory. You're talking a $3,000 television, I'll pause right here, that has more haze than a full array television or a non mini LED television. I mean, you can clearly see that it is blooming more. I won't even have to open my ISO up too much. I'm at 640. I mean, really, I just, within a couple clicks, can show you, like, the blacks are just more hazy on the Sony to the right. And if I open it up more than that, you're going to start seeing a whole lot more haze. I mean, again, I'll put it back down to 640. But you get the idea. I mean, it's a mess. It truly is a mess. And comparatively to what I'm seeing out of the Q8FN, it's not a match for what the Q8FN is putting out. And that shocked me. Like, look at this fucking feather. Like, what the hell? Like, this is crazy to me on so many levels because technology on Sony's side of things was said to be an innovation this year by everybody. Why isn't anybody that runs these publications, though, comparing to old TVs like I do to see if things are actually improving? I often hear how I just hate Sony and I'm just not being fair, but year after year, quite literally in real time, just like this video right now, with a tangible example like the Spears and Munsell UHD benchmarking disc of 2023, you can literally buy it and check it yourself side by side. I am showing you very real examples of what you could do and telling you, like, it's a big difference. And for perspective, again, pause, let this play out. You've got a huge thing happening here. I am rocking fully calibrated settings on the Sony. And I mean fully calibrated. To the point where it's like I did everything I could, even beyond reference, and it's still way too blue and way too pale and way too ugly. Now, if you are in disbelief of that, I'll show you what the TV looks like by default. It looks like that. That's what Sony's rocking. Now, it's not actually flickering, okay? The flickering is because of the frequency of their backlight. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know how to make that stop, okay? That's just Sony's TV. It's freaking weird, okay? I don't know. But I can tell you it is something that I think they, at the very least, should reconsider because, you know, when it's looking this damn bad, you've got to go back to the drawing board and at least be like, okay, we've clearly got something wrong here. Let us try to figure out what that is. I don't see that happening from Sony. Now, what I'll try to do, I'll try to raise my shutter speed or do something with it to make this go away because this is just not where it's at. And the Sony is just flickering like crazy. Even as I'm moving my shutter speed around, it's not getting any better. It's really not. So I, at this point, have to just leave it where it is. It's so sad, but yeah, the Sony's just gonna have that flickering. And I tried in real time to fix that. There's no way to do that. This is just what a Sony looks like. And again, this is if you're rocking their native color space. You see those flowers? They look really bad. Okay, then we go to standard, and again, let it play. And you tell me which one looks like a TV you spent all this money on, because I'm looking at the Sony. It looks bad. I mean, so bad and so hazy in this example. And for anybody thinking I'm doing anything to the Sony, I got no problem in real time opening up my settings, okay, going down to reset for anyone that's a naysayer, okay, and then going into the black levels and showing you that, again, everything right now is set to medium. We could set it to high, get it off of the default, but that's not what they have it on. But we could still do that, okay? And you could push peak luminance to high or not, doesn't matter. It'd probably make the picture look worse. But even when you do that, black levels still look like trash. You're on high now on local dimming. Again, open up our settings to show this. And this is where it becomes a head scratcher. Local dimming right there, auto local dimming, high. And it still looks like shit. I mean, I don't know how else to say it to anybody. Look at those black levels right now. compared to a Samsung Q8 FN. This is, dude, this is, where are we right now? I'm going to run this back. We are at literally 4 minutes, 17 seconds into the Spears and Munsell UHD benchmarking disc, okay? The haze on this Sony is unacceptable for the price. It's just unacceptable. Especially when I go into the settings and I'm showing you, guys, I'm showing you in real time, okay? I hit reset, so you see I didn't do a thing to this picture, and hitting reset does not save the Sony. Just leave it at default, right? Look at the picture. It's still flickering. It's still a gray, hazy mess. And this is the kind of stuff that I don't have any patience for, because look at the Samsung Q8 FN from years ago. We're talking 2018 to the left. I mean, that picture right there speaks 1,000 words. And you're going to have so many Sony fans saying, oh, he clearly has an axe to grind with Sony. I don't care. I do not care who wins or loses, but look at this. This is their standard mode, right? Their standard looks like that. There's something happening weird at Sony. You've got to at the least admit that, right? You can go to cinema mode. It gets a little bit better, right? Okay. And again, for the interest of fairness, we're going to go to cinema. We're going to make sure we hit reset so everything is restored to default for cinema. And there you have it. It still doesn't look anywhere near as good as that would look. Now, what do you think would look more like a cityscape? I mean, like, come on. The contrast examples alone speak volumes for themselves. And again, the cinema mode is where Sony calibrated their TV. I mean, really, your only other option would be like the super dim professional mode, which nobody would ever want to use. I mean, look at all the color you miss in this example. It's just really just jaundice with a bunch of shadow detail. And the immense amount of shadow detail where you can see every little thing is because they have like very poor contrast. It's so bad, it almost feels like I'm looking at a freaking IPS screen. And now, again, I'll show you for the interest of fairness. Local dimming is on, guys. I don't have to trick you. Look, local dimming's on medium. We'll put it to high, okay? We'll go ahead and turn this off and everything. And look, I just made one adjustment past the default that it's going to ship at. Look at what it looks like. This TV should not be outclassing the TV talking about black levels. I don't think you guys understand. Like, it's actually like extraordinarily comical. And I love this because there's literally nothing under the sun that I possibly could have done to make the Sony look this bad. It just looks this bad, right? It just does. Again, the flickering, it doesn't have that in like real life when you look at it. Again, I'm all for being fair to the Sony, but pausing here as well. I mean, look at the contrast difference between the trees, the color of the landscape, everything. It's just, the real world is not faded and dead, and I don't think Sony realizes this. I really don't think they care, even if they do. And this is what you're going to get out of the box from Sony. Their calibration, this is what it looks like, right? This is that Sony special that you just paid $3,000 for. Gray, black bars. You see it at the top and bottom. This is by default. Now, I'll go in and show you what my settings look like. But it's like I told you guys, I am not a miracle worker. I can only do so much. I fixed the black levels. Now you have inky deep blacks, right? Where you're supposed to, right? But I mean, like outside of like fixing certain things that should not have happened in the first place, I'll run it back so we can see another example. Okay, run it back again, run it back one more time. Okay, maybe one more, so we can really get the idea. Okay, even with deeper black levels, it's still just, it has way too much shadow detail, and there's just no getting around the fact that the Sony comparatively is just trash. Like when you talk about a contrast type deal, rendering the darkest and the brightest, it's just not doing that as good as, look, I'm gonna pause right here. This is a full array TV from 2018, guys. Like, this is tomfoolery in my opinion. We shouldn't be dealing with this for $3,000. And you always hear that like really bitchy, really catty response. Oh, just say you can't afford a Sony if you don't like it. No, I can afford the Sony. Check me out, boy. It's right here. The $3,000 Sony is right there. The money is not the issue. The product is the issue. So for everybody trying to shame other people saying that the TCL is better or whatever, I mean, I'll check it. I'll investigate it because, right, I didn't do a side-by-side. I'll do that. But from what I see, it can't even beat my 2018 Samsung Q8 FN with full array local dimming. I mean, really though, like what are we arguing about here? What kind of conversation are we really having right now? Like really, and you've seen it. Local dimming on high, and there is no Hail Mary for this fucking thing. Like there is no Hail Mary for this thing. Then it gets to such a point where it's like, yes, in this example, if I pause, I like the orange on the cow on the Sony a little bit better, and I like the brightness of the Sony better. Yeah, that looks nice, right? But then I start to really pay attention, and the mountains behind the cows are more visible. The blades of grass are more realistic, where it has like a yellowish hue that gradates down to a rich bluish green type color in every shade in between, where Sony's just one solid type of color. And then the cows, while, yeah, they're not like an orangish looking color, they're going to be more towards a dark, rich brown. Okay, I see that. I have contrast in the clouds. I mean, it's just, the colors just look better on the Samsung. Samsung's just doing it better. And I just don't know how we can sit here. I mean, look at the alligator. Pause right here. I mean, come on, man. Alligators aren't supposed to look that dead. And I know it's like beating a dead horse here. But you know what? We really do have to be this thorough when we talk about a $3,000 asking price from a major corporation that claims that they've got this backlight system that will razzle dazzle your mind. And by the way, shout out to our subscriber Don, who requested this video, because I honestly, if the support wasn't there, I wasn't even going to do this, because I'm like, oh, for sure, it's a 2018 Samsung. There's no real need to compare it. Most people that have it are happy with their Samsung, and we could just move on. No, he's completely right, okay? We should be going back in time and pulling out of the annals TVs like this, because when you think you can give Sony a pass and say, oh, surely you'd beat the Samsung, you can't, though, because look at you. I mean, really. And again, these are with my settings, dude. My settings, and it looks like shit. Like, I'm blown away at how bad this looks. Like, versus, again, you go down to the default settings again, show you in real time, you're getting super blue fest, okay? So it's not even like, I mean, you go from that to that, there's clearly work that has been done there. I mean, but like looking at the picture, it's just really fucking blue. Like, I don't know who at Sony developed like the I like everything wrapped in jaundice, right, for movie mode. This is what you're paying $3,000 for. You aren't getting the fucking world of contrast that they promised you. My old Samsung is doing better than your $3,000 Sony, and I'm showing you in real time. And I'm not playing no tricks, no games, nothing, right? We do it again in real time for everybody. Cinema mode. Cinema mode has been calibrated, right? We're under content type, video and images, so I'm not using game mode or PC mode or anything to make it look bad. And then we go in here, pause right here on the owl, by the way, and we go into local dimming, right? Because that owl's looking like trash. Well, first things first, I'm going to go ahead, just so you see this, reset picture settings. Yes, reset to default. And it still looks like trash. We close the menu, it still looks like trash. We go into picture settings, we go look at our local dimming settings under the brightness tab, and we go, okay, we're at medium on the brightness. Let's stop that. We stop that, and then it still looks like what? Trash. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Look at the black levels. That's not even black. That's gray. That's like a hazy, jaundice gray. And this is the shit Sony's selling for $3,000. See, like, examples like this really speak 1,000 words into existence. And again, pause in real time just to show you. I go from that, and then it looks like shit. All right, looks terrible, right? So what I'll do, go back to my settings, okay? And again, I clearly did the work, because you see the inky deep black levels that this has. You see color coming through that a minute ago. If you would have stuck with what Sony did, you would have had some bullshit black levels. I showed that in real time clearly. So I don't want to hear that I just hate Sony and I'm not being fair to Sony, because again, I'm dramatic. And one thing about a dramatic guy, I will prove my damn point until you get it, okay? In real time. Yet again, for the haters in the back, always talking shit, okay? What I offer, right? Your black levels buttoned up, inky, deep, rich. What Sony offers, vivid mode. Look at that shit, okay? We're going to go a step further, right? We're going to go and, again, in vivid mode, make sure we hit reset. So you see, I'm not doing anything to make it look bad. Yes, reset to the default. The default has posterization in this example. Look around the feathers. It's all fucked up. It's all pale and faded, and the background is hazy. There's no inky, deep black anywhere. It's bullshit, and this is what I told you. The brightness is not usable. Whatever Sony programmed their TV to do, they failed, okay? Standard, more of the same. Hazy bullshit. It looks like an IPS screen. This has been the most shocking comparison I think I've ever done in my life. I never expected it to look this bad. And again, in real time for standard, we're going to go ahead and reset standard. You notice a theme here. I'm resetting this TV a hell of a lot. just so you can see. I'm even going to go back into local dimming. Since the standard is medium, I'm going to put it to high to see if that improves it. And look, it still looks like what? Horse shit. This is the $3,000 experience on Sony. I can't tell you any other way. Look at that. That's your lens to living room experience. Come on, man. They're taking a piss on you and calling it rain. Look at this. Literally look at what they're trying to tell you is a $3,000 pick. Dude, 2018 is slaughtering your brand new 2024 Sony out the box, right? Out of the box. Okay, I have to say that. But guess what? Out of the box is calibrated with Sony at this price point. Lens to living room. Master Series always gets calibrated before they send it off. Hollywood experts, yada, yada, yada. Okay, this is what it looks like. And my Samsung is bodying this shit. Furthermore, we go back into my settings, okay? I mean, yeah, it's better. It's a lot better than where it was. But when you're with the best of a generation, there's a difference, right? I mean, like look at the color quality. I mean, for fuck's sake, man. It's like they didn't even try, right? It's like Sony just woke up, rolled out of bed and said, fuck it. I'm going to just make a TV and hope it works out. Like, wow. Like, to say that this is shocking is the least. I mean, look at the color differences. My God, look at the green. It's all fucking pale and shitty. But we look over here and the color is rich and the contrast is three-dimensional. The black levels are where they need to be. And again, these are with my settings, dude. I'm not a miracle worker. Remember I said that? Well, that's what I'm talking about. This is where we started from. How the hell do you expect me to change something that's fundamentally shit, like all these presets, into something like, look at this one, another turd. How do you expect me to turn a turd into something that it can never be? Now, again, people might find this to be a really harsh, unfair comparison. I would love to know how, though, for anybody. But, most people that always talk all that shit against me, too, they get real silent when I show stuff like this, I've noticed. Like, I'll pause right here on the frog. They get really silent. I mean, really silent when I can show a clear discrepancy like this at a $3,000 price tag. Because, again, here you have what everybody else is lauding as the greatest and the best, and then what I do. And we can even, for shits and giggles, go down to their professional mode, because I haven't done that yet, right? You go down to the professional mode, it's just dim as fuck, but it's still extraordinarily hazy. Extraordinarily hazy, dude. So you're not winning. Your best bet is to go to cinema, right? Because that's the most calibrated, second best for more general uses for, again, every day. When I tell you, I'm just like blown away by how shitty they did of a job. Again, here are my settings for anybody that wanted to know. I mean, when I did everything I could for the Samsung, or the Sony to the right, everything for the Sony Bravia 9, the Sony Bravia 9 just falls short. And they fall short so fundamentally. Again, pause right here so you can see that it's like, okay, with my settings, you got your local dimming looking all good and everything. Again, right? This frog example just blew my mind. I had to go back because how do you fuck up? I'll go to cinema to be fair, but how do you fuck up this bad? This badly, my dude? Like, really? Y'all doing it like this? Oh my God. $3,000 out the window. This is why I told everybody, just go with a TCL. And I don't even have the comparison up yet. But if it's like I remember, the Sony's going to have the edge in contrast and brightness a little bit. Not really even brightness. More so like just like contrast clarity. But the TCL's going to pull ahead in almost every other way. We'll see if that's the case, right? When I do the shootout and I, formally and officially do everything. But from what I'm looking at, man, it's not great. I mean, again, look at the fucking picture quality on the Samsung. It looks like a fucking OLED. Comparatively to what we have on the fucking Sony. I mean, this might sound mean, okay? I understand, right? I'm doing a review, maybe some impartiality. Help me pick out something positive, okay? I'll try. The Sony is brighter, and that extra brightness is impressive for just being bright. That's the nice thing I can say. I mean, it's clear, it's sharp, it's got great clarity, and by itself, maybe you won't notice this kind of difference. Again, looking at the rocks here, I mean, again, by itself, it looks good. If I just look at it right now with my settings, not the way it ships, with my settings, it looks good by itself. The moment I start comparing to something like a Samsung Q8 FM with quantum dots wrapped in metal, made to beat OLEDs, Look at what that actually looks like. The clarity, the depth becoming apparent, the colors. It hits colors that this just is not capable of producing, but this is supposedly a Quantum.TV. Like, how in the fuck, man? Like, it just looks so bad. I mean, look at the chessboard. I mean, come on. It's like it's like I have an OLED over here. And now I'm going to do this too, because I know people are like, no, he's full of shit. That entire comparison, he did that with his S95D, and he wants y'all to think it's a different TV. So at this point in the video, I'm going to go ahead with my remote, the silver remote, Samsung Q8FN era. Y'all know what this is all about, okay? We don't have the sensor on the back for the light, ambient, anything, right? And in real time, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the home button. And you just saw the menu. This is exactly what I told you it was. This is an old Samsung, guys. This isn't anything new. If you know this version of Tizen, you're a real one, okay? It's the Samsung Q8FN. And I'm sitting here like blown away that a Q8FN just bodied the absolute shit out of a Sony Bravia 9. And if you are too, let me know in the comment section down below. Pause right here for the final pause comparison. We're going to go ahead, open up our settings. Again, this is the default vivid mode. That's what that looks like. Really blue, very hazy. And there's actually even some clouding in my corners, which is fucking ridiculous at this price point. The image on the screen, how pale and hazy it looks on the viewfinder on the camera actually looks like that. So if it looks hazy on YouTube, that's what it looks like. And the image is really, it really, I swear to God on everything, it really is this fucking day and night right now. I'm blown back that this is even like a thing. Okay. And again, here we are, day and night comparison. And then we go to cinema mode. And again, I'll go ahead and hit reset on that too. So you see, it's literally, even if you go to professional, it's just really fucking dim, but hazy, and you have no color. I don't know what happened to Sony in 2024, but they clearly, from taking a downgrade to from their QD OLEDs to this shit, I have no idea. It's almost like somebody in R&D and also in management at Sony was pissed off with the owners or whatever and wanted to do something to sabotage the namesake of Sony, because to push this bullshit out, you had to really be in your feelings against Sony, because this is the most anti-Sony TV I've ever seen. I mean, really, when you need to sit there for hours to try to just get black levels back, like I've done it, right? You can clearly see I've put the work in and I got the black levels right, but look at it. It's going up against the fucking TV from 2018. This shit is embarrassing. They ought to be ashamed of themselves for this foolishness, and I'm showing you here in real time for your benefit. If you like this kind of transparency that you see literally nowhere else nowadays, smack a like on this video, and as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.